We are back in studio today with a guest.
Hello, Coach Shaq is back. We're back on the mic.
We are pumped today, guys. Why are we pumped, Shaq?
Because something amazing is happening. What's happening?
Yes, I love that. Shaq's on board. I honestly thought he's going to be like, what? Why?
What day is it?
Literally. So my new book comes out today, guys. Woo!
Are you pumped?
I'm so pumped. I'm so stoked. I'm pumped. I'm like relieved. I'm excited. It's all the things. It's all the feels. It's just exciting. So guys, if you're like, what the hell are these two actually talking about? Because they're just out of control. So I've created a brand new ebook with over 200 simple meal ideas, and it is available right now to download via the link on my Instagram page, also from my private Facebook community, my YouTube channel, all of the places that you can see Eat Like Ruby. You can access the link to purchase and download your ebook.
How good.
How good.
That's so good. That's so many meals. That's wild.
So many. Yeah. When I was writing it, there's 60 breakfasts, however we say that. And then when you do something like this, you're like, how do I know it's done? Like, how do I know it's good enough? Like, it's such a big project. And so you're like in that mindset of like, oh, should there be 61? Should there be 62? Like,
legit. Where
is the line? Where is it done? And I showed the breakfast section to Shaq, and then he was like, that's over one. Like, you could have a new breakfast every week for over a year. And I was like, oh, that is a good tagline.
Shaq knowledge. Watch out, guys.
Truth bombs with Shaq. So that made me feel good. But that's a really cool point. I loved that point. So it is over 200 meals, 60 breakfasts, about 50 lunches, 50 dinners. It's a little bit hard with the lunch ones because it's got a bunch of obviously simple meals for lunches, but it's also got a section that's like lunch on the spot Woolworths and lunch on the spot Coles. So if you're like caught out somewhere, you're like, shit, I need to get lunch on the spot. It's got, I would say, maybe 15 to 20 from each, like 15 to 20 from Coles, 15 to 20 from Woolies, that you can just go and grab like one or two things, whatever it is, to make that meal. So I don't want to claim them as my own meal ideas because they're kind of Coles or Woolies meal ideas. But I just thought that was a really cool thing to put in. I wanted to have the lunches like that. Some people want to go, or, you know, obviously people do meal prep and they make their lunches or they make things on the spot, however your day goes. But equally I thought, oh, how cool, like when you are caught on the spot, to be able to look and be like, well, what can I get from Woolies? What can I get from Coles?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm finding it hard. That's why it just says over 200 meals, because if we counted all them as meals, it's probably like 250.
Yeah.
But I don't want to claim them as my own. Yeah.
That's wild.
I don't even know where I was going with that, but
we never bloody do.
I'm just excited.
Give us a background, like why did you write this for? How long does it take? Like, give us some inside goss.
Oh my God, how much time do you have? No, so why I wrote it is a really cool question, and it really is part of the book and the journey, if you will.
You got to enjoy the journey. Oh, what's the bloody point?
Make today count.
Hashtag.
I wanted to write a recipe book. I actually started this book in April last year, and stay with me because I'm not going to take you on a 500-day journey, but I started in April last year. I wanted to do a recipe book. I was like, well, you know, I Eat Like Ruby. I've got the foodie page. People want the foodie things, all of that. I should do a recipe book. So I would start one. And when you're trying to include recipes in your day, whether you're writing a recipe book or you're just including recipes in your day, it's obviously like there's an element of stress and confusion and overwhelm if you're tracking your food, because it's like you've got to try and plan it, like find a recipe, try and plan it in, try and make your whole day fit, go down to the shops, find all the ingredients, make it all work. You come home, you make the recipe. If you've missed the mark, you've tracked a day, but now it's like, well, what I've tracked isn't going to fit because the recipe was fucking wrong. It didn't work out. Like when you're trying to create recipes, it's very hard to fit them in your day.
Yeah.
And I went through that so much. I was like, okay, yep, I'm doing the book. Go out, do the recipes, do all the things, come home. I'd get stressed as fuck. I'd put the book aside and I would go back to eating my simple meals. And I did that so many times. I would say through maybe April through to August last year, I went through that cycle over and over. And then I just hit this point where I was like, if I feel this way, surely other people do too. Like, the overwhelm and the confusion of flexible dieting and stuff can already be there. So then if it's like, okay, now get really creative and make all these fancy recipes and plan brand new foods and meals every day, it's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And like, that's coming from me. I've been tracking my food for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's too much for me. So I was just like, surely other people can relate to this. And the other thing there is like, my business is called Eat Like Ruby. And I was just like, this is not how Ruby eats. Like, this is unaligned, misaligned, whatever the word is there. I was like, there's a disconnect. I don't want to make this big, fancy recipe book, but really we all know she's eating yogurt and Nutella every day.
Yeah.
Like, there's actually just a disconnect there. So I just was like, you know what? I actually do eat simple meals. They work for me. I love them. I do tweak them in ways to make them super enjoyable. Let's actually make a book like that.
Yeah.
So the kind of thing about the book, I think it says on the cover, this is not a recipe book, ain't nobody got time for that, because there's no method in this book. So there's no method for each of the meals. So the way it's set up, and PS, you can download a free snippet on my website. So if you go to eat_like_Ruby on Instagram, link in bio, download the snippet, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But the way it's set up is you've got the ingredients and the amounts, you've got a picture, and then it's pretty fucking simple how to make the meal.
Yeah.
So if we think about that meal I have every day with the yogurt, the Nutella, the fruit, whatever, if I told you the list of ingredients and the amounts and showed you a picture, you wouldn't need a method.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted people to be able to just look like, okay, here's what's in it, here's the picture, I know how to make this meal.
Yeah, so simple.
So simple. It does have, and that's why it's called Simple Meals, believe it or not.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, she's a genius. So it does have the macro breakdown for every meal, because obviously I track my food, all of my girls track their food, like, you know, that's actually what Eating Like Ruby is as well. So I wanted to have the whole macro breakdown in there for people. But I said on last week's podcast as well, I also just want it to be a really handy thing for whether you track your food really strictly, whether you sometimes track, whether you never track, whatever. I just want it to be like a big library, like a big resource of meals.
Yeah.
That people can just open up and pick what ones they want for the day or the week or whatever. And there's so much in there.
That's so cool. And like,
Thank you. I do try.
You go all right.
So yeah, I think at one point we were talking about how many meals are in it, and then I started talking about the lunches, and then
Yeah, like always just
we ended
wander
up
off.
here.
Yeah.
So then the dinners as well. The dinners are divvied up. Let's see if she can remember, into Mexican, pizzas, burgers, pasta, stir fry, and then other. And other just has, I'd say there's about 12 to 15 meals in the other that just didn't fit into another category. So they're just random dinners as well that I wanted to include. Within each of those categories, like pizza has about 8, burgers has about 8, stir fries I think even has a bit more, maybe 10-ish. Yeah, pasta's got about 8. So there's so many meals in this book,
That's
guys.
so cool.
Over 200. Yeah.
That's so cool. Who do you think it appeals to?
This is what's so cool, because like I said, whether you... I love how you're interviewing me. Like it's...
I know. Where's my microphone? I mean, here.
You've literally got a microphone.
I need a whole one to be more official.
Oh, like a news reporter.
Yeah.
And then
like,
hold it across.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Like I said, it can work so well if someone wants to track their food really strictly, because it's got all the macros. But then equally, if you just want meal ideas, you want to eat more mindfully or whatever, it can work for that. But it's also so cool, and this is what I love about it, is that if you are day one of your nutrition journey, your day one of flexible dieting, whatever, obviously it's so beneficial, it's so helpful. But equally, if you're 10 years in, it's so helpful.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so cool, because often we do things in Eat Like Ruby that are, you know, oh, this is for beginners, or this is for advanced, or this is for this person, or whatever. No one's blocked out here. This is for everybody.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Every single person can benefit from this book, and I'm just so bloody excited.
That's so cool.
It's also got, I'm just going to start asking and answering my own questions. It's also got I think I actually said this in last week's podcast, but if you haven't listened to that, it's also got a key. So it's like a little emoji key of what the meal helps us tick off in terms of nutrition requirements. So in regards to like protein, whole grains, fruit, veggies, calcium, dietary fat. So for example, if the meal had contributes to our fruit intake for the day, there's a little apple emoji next to it.
Yep, that's cool.
If there's like whole grains for the day, I think the whole grain emoji is sandwiches. So it's got like the explanation of the emoji key at the start, so you know what you're looking for. But then each meal just has the macros and then the little emojis under it. So you can be like, oh, this has got XYZ macros and it's got whole grains, fruit and protein in it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So cool. Who actually has ever thought of that besides me? I'd say I'm a genius. Name another book with that in it.
Jesus.
Oh, wait.
Wow. Don't know if I asked it before, you might have answered it. Why was the big push to make your own book like this? Like to this quantity, like 200 pages, 200 meals, like why?
Yeah. It stemmed from that place of like, oh, I should do a recipe book, like, because I'm the foodie page and all of that.
Yeah.
Which just didn't feel right. Like it really didn't. And like I said, I kept going through that cycle and it's actually quite shitty. And when you're in business, you know, there's so many ways you can go and there's so many things. Like I don't have a boss. I am the boss. I make the decisions. So that can obviously be awesome. But at the same time, you can find yourself in these situations where you're just like, you know, oh, I feel like I should be doing this, you know, air quotes, but it just does not feel right. It's not aligned with my business and all of that. So I think the idea stemmed from there where I just did hit that point where I was like, anytime I do this, I am going back to my simple meals. Fuck, surely other people benefit from eating simple meals as well.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because if you've been in Eat Like Ruby before, you'll know that the meal plans are very simple. They very much like run the same way. That's actually a really cool point. If you've been in Eat Like Ruby, you will recognize that emoji key. So we use the emoji key on the meal plans in Eat Like Ruby as well. So it's the same thing all throughout the book for my Eat Like Ruby gals. You know what I'm talking about. And same thing, if we think about an Eat Like Ruby meal plan, if you've ever seen one, and if you haven't, what you're doing, we don't have like methods and all these crazy fancy recipes. It's actually a thing for me, and I still to this day have never budged on this. Any Eat Like Ruby meal plan fits on one page. I will not let a meal plan extend onto a second page. If it's on a second page, it's too fucking confusing.
Yeah, it's too
not
painful.
Simple meals.
Yeah.
So, and that's bloody hard if someone's on 3,000 calories, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But that's the same sort of thing. Like all the meal plans in Eat Like Ruby are very simple meals. They're tasty and they're awesome. But the girls that have done all my programs, they love that. They're like, yeah, that's so awesome because it does let me eat all those things, like I said before, pizza, burgers, whatever. But it also has the little key to be like, oh, like I've actually made a veggie pizza on whole grain bread with all these veggies. Like this actually ticks off. If you think about a veggie pizza on like wholemeal pita bread, whole grains, veggies, cheese, calcium, protein, like you're ticking off so many things with a veggie pizza. It's freaking great.
Yeah.
So super off topic, but there's one snippet from the book. But that's, why I sort of landed in making the simple meals book as opposed to making a big recipe book was because that is literally what Eat Like Ruby is. If I think about myself, you know, put my business aside for the second, but what is it actually about to Eat Like Ruby? It's very simple, but it's still tasty and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I carried that into my meal plans and my programs, and the gals have loved it for years. So I was like, I just want to make one big resource that everyone can benefit from. And then, like we said, there's no one that this wouldn't suit.
Yeah, and honestly, like, see all many recipes out there. The methods are crazy long. No one has time for that. Your meals, obviously, a sneak peek. It's so simple, so easy. Like, anyone can do it on the spot or,
Anyone would think this guy's on the payroll.
Jesus. Official taste tester. Watch out.
You actually are.
I know. So good.
If the ATO come knocking, they'll be like, what does he do? I'll be like, he eats all the meals. That's so funny. Yeah, and that's the thing. And obviously everybody's different. But for me personally, if I look at a recipe and it has a massive list and it has a massive method, I'm like, yeah, next, whatever.
Yeah, no.
Even if you look at the pic and it's like awesome. I don't have a wicked skill set when it comes to like cooking and like, you know, some people are really creative. Like I think A, you've got to be really creative, but then B, you've just got to have that flair for cooking. And also, I think it's like the patience and all that. I don't have the patience to be like, oh, what a lovely recipe that's, you know, an hour and 45 minutes. Perfect. I've got that up my sleeve. Yeah. Oh, we've all got those 16 ingredients in the cupboard. No, we do not. Yeah. We've got Nutella in the cupboard and that's it.
So honestly, like our demographic, like I love cooking, but if there's a recipe too long, I just won't do it.
Yeah.
Like it's just too painful.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Where's yours? Obviously, the recipes are always the photo always grab you. Your photos are great.
The other thing, if you download the snippet or if you just straight up buy the book, you will see, and we've posted so much about this on Insta anyway, so people know it's a mix of actual photos. Like we did a proper photo shoot for some of the meals. They're really cool, all of that. But some of them are more like infograph style where it's just got laid out like, here's all of the, if there's 6 things in this meal, here's literally just the picture of the 6 things. Here's the list, here's the macros, whatever. Again, if you think about a veggie pizza, right, you don't need a method for a veggie pizza. Lay out the bread, put the shit on top, the end. So it's got like, that's a really good example. It's got the type of bread that I would recommend. And then it's got a picture of all the things in it. It's got the list underneath with the amounts, whatever. It's got the macros, go off, make your pizza. It's actually really simple, believe it or not.
Is it simple?
Yes.
Shit.
And the other thing that I just reminded myself of is it's got a few sections in the book. So pizza is one of them. That's what made me think of it. Of like, obviously all the pizzas are made on like a certain bread, but I know like you and I would make pizza on different bread.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've got way more calories, you've got different preferences, whatever. So I've got a section that's like pizza bases from lowest calories to high calories.
Yeah.
So you can look and be like, oh, I could make this veggie pizza or this barbecue chicken pizza, whatever she's got in here, but actually I'm going to put it on this base because I'm on high calories and I want to use a 300 calorie base instead of a 100, or other way round.
Yeah.
I'll pick the lowest calorie one. So I've got that for a few things, even like yogurts. I think yogurts are a big one where people are like, should I get YoPro or Chobani or this or that? And so I've got a bit of a section there that's like, here's all the ones you can have. Like, that's the other thing with the book. Like, I'm just going to go all over the place here. But if it does have a meal that's got, say like yogurt, that meal that I have with the yogurt and the Nutella and all that, it's got that there, but it's very easy for you to be like, oh, she's used Chobani, I'll use YoPro. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like, you can tweak little things to suit you. So you can absolutely copy the meals gram for gram, brand for brand if you want to. Or you can take it, be like, oh, yeah, cool, I see where she's going with that, but I would use XYZ.
Yeah.
And that's perfect as well. So that's one thing is, I think I've got that in the description at the start. It's like, you can actually, like, absolutely use this to just copy them perfectly and duplicate them to a T.
Yeah.
Or you can use it as like a big resource base and then be like, oh, Ruby's got like nachos, tacos, which PS, I do have all these things in the book. And then you can just be like, how would I tweak that? Like, would I tweak that in a way to suit me? And I think that's really cool with, like I said before, if you're day one of your nutrition journey or your flexible dieting journey, you probably would copy them quite accurately. But if you're someone who's years in, I think about all of my Eat Like Ruby girls, like they're in a position where they're like, oh yeah, cool, this is cool, like big resource.
Yeah.
But also I know,
tweak it.
like I'd flip that. Yeah. And
yeah,
I
that's
think
cool.
That's really awesome.
That's why it's so appealing to like beginners and like advanced. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah. And then it's got the desserts. So the desserts is sort of divvied up in a few ways. It's got like a few meals. So like meals is probably a weird word to use for dessert, but a little example is it's got a way that you could make something low calorie and how you could continue to tweak it to make it higher calorie. So a really cool example is like those little mousses, whatever we call them.
Yeah.
I think I had this dilemma in my YouTube video where I was like, is this mousse or mousses?
Don't ask me, I'll butcher it.
But they're like about 60 or 70 calories, right? So say if you had that with strawberries, you could have that as dessert for like 120 calories. So I've got that in the book, but then I've got add Milo protein cereal for an extra 100 calories and a serve of whole grains. So if you're someone that's like, oh, like I need a low calorie dessert, you could just opt for the mousse and the strawberries on its own.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh no, I've actually got room to work that in. And then I've got like the next step. If you want to add even more calories, like add 15 grams of Nutella. So you can kind of look and be like, the reason I wanted to do that with dessert is so people can look and be like, okay, cool, I've had all my meals for the day. I've got 200 calories left for dessert. What could I have? Or I've got 500 calories left for dessert. What can I have? And you can kind of pick what step along that meal you would stop at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then in the dessert section, it has at the end literally just desserts from lowest to highest calories. So many like ice creams or other desserts just one-off foods that you get from the supermarket. So like an ice cream or a
Maxi
pudding
Bonds
literally Maxi Bonds are in there. And it's just got them from lowest to highest calories. So I think the lowest one is literally like 39 calories. Like there's an ice cream out there for 39 calories a serve. And then they're just in order right through up into like the Maxi Bonds are up in the 300s and there's a few things in the 400s. And again, I just wanted that there, and it's got all this written in the book, but I want people to plan their days and tick off all the boxes of foods they should be including and good quality foods and all of that. But when you've done all that and you get to the end of the day, like I said, you might be like, oh, I've got 100 calories left for dessert, or I've got 500, and you can literally just have it all laid out in front of you. I feel like for me, when I've planned my days and I've done that, like I'll tick all the boxes with all my other meals, and then we always have ice cream or something for dessert. I'm always like, I wonder what ice creams have 200 calories. I wonder what ones have 300. And I was standing Coles in the bloody freezer, freezing my ass off, looking at all the labels.
Yeah, legit.
So when I wrote this book, I actually nearly freezed my ass off, and I reckon I sent the Woolies freezer into a spasm because I just stood there and like got all of the calories from every ice cream. But I wanted it just so laid out. I think there's 3 pages with that where it's just literally rows and rows and rows. Like, here's this one for 39. Here's this one for 42. Here's this one for 45. Like, they just go in order right up to highest calories.
That's so cool.
Everything's so cool. And he's not even getting paid to say that.
I know.
Or is he?
Taste tester. I honestly tasted every ice cream on that book, so we're good.
Chuck's like, just confirming that these have the calories that they say.
Honestly, it's full of viewers. For the people who buy the book.
Just doing your bit for the people.
Make sure that everything tastes adequate, okay?
Adequate.
I can throw big words out there.
Oh, shit. Here he is.
All right.
Next question.
Yeah. Stop
moving on.
Fluffing around. All right. So how many, I'll say girl hours you spent on the book, like the struggles.
What are girl hours?
Like people say man hours.
Oh.
Like girl hours. Yeah.
I was like, where is he going with this?
Honestly, I don't know. I was saying some stuff. But honestly, how long did you spend on the book? Like, what was the struggles? So people don't know you started this yesterday. Like,
didn't just pull it out my ass overnight, believe it or not. It's been like something that I've come and gone from. And even having the layout of like the infograph style, like I said, I only really landed in that early this year. Like at one point I was going to make them all and shoot them all, over 200 of them.
Yeah.
And again, the overwhelm of that was really stressful. And I was like, I don't love that. And some things just don't look good when you shoot them.
Yeah.
Some things just do not. There are a few things I made several times and I was like, I can't get the shot.
Yeah.
And I will not make an ugly book.
Get the shot.
Literally,
Get
I'm like,
the shot.
You should see us, guys. I'm like, create the shade, like create a shadow, hold up a towel to block out the shadow.
Literally, half the photos of me standing in the background, just going like this, to block the sun.
Legit. That's how he gets his wage, ATO. He's the sun blocker. No, but honestly, so I kind of dabbled in that for a while. Like, are we going to shoot them all? Are we going to professionally shoot them all? Like, just all those things. And then I don't even know what clicked where I was like, oh, that infograph style is so beneficial because people can just see it so clear as day. Like, exactly what is in that meal. And a really cool example, guys, there's a fair few on my Instagram, but I'd say maybe like a month ago I did a little carousel that was like 5 simple breakfast ideas. And these are basically straight from the book. And it's got the layout, it's got like the infograph style where it's got all the ingredients, it's got the macros, it's got everything. The post got over 900 saves. And I think that says so much about people just being like, fuck yes, simple meal ideas. So if that is you, buy the book, Simple Meals. Being like, yes, this is so easy, so simple, like enjoyable meals. Like you look at it straight away and you're like, oh, I would like that. And equally, it is so simple. I can see where she's going with this. The ingredients are right there. The picture's right there. The macros are right there. I can go off and make that. I don't have to come back and be like, shit, I need to find the recipe. I need to, be on the stove cooking this and run over here and check the recipe again and all of that. It's just like, oh yeah, there it is. I know how to do that.
Yeah, so simple.
Yeah, and that's why, coming back to the point, I don't even know really what clicked to make me be like, oh, let's do some of it like that and be more like informative and helpful rather than just a picture of my breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, let's actually break it down and show every individual ingredient. So when I landed in that, I was like, okay, cool. I have a very, very clear visual of what this is. I was so stoked. And that's, again, coming back to what business is, you know, this time last year, I was dabbling in that, like, should I do a recipe book energy and just hating it. And then when I landed in this, I'm like, this is it. This is it, like Ruby. This is the book. Like, I actually cannot work quick enough to get on paper what is in my head. That's what it was like. Like, when it's on, it's on. And it's been on since Feb.
Yeah, and honestly, that's just...
It's been me.
Yeah, and it hasn't been like an hour or two a day. But literally, I can, confirm that.
It's just like, Shaq's like, what's on today? And I'm like, working on the book.
Yeah.
We're working on the book and working on the book.
Literally from crack of dawn to crack at night, like...
Yeah, and it's one of those things, that's the thing too that I think is really cool. Like, in business, there are certain things where you're like, I need to stop at a certain point in a day. Like, you know, there are certain things in your business where you're like, I need to stop and shut the laptop and walk away for the day.
Yeah.
With this, I've worked on this all night. Like, when we're on the couch, when we're watching football, when we're watching TV, whatever, I'm working on the book.
Yeah.
And that's not really a common thing for me. Like, normally I would switch off at like 5 or 6 or whatever and just be chilling on the couch at night. But like, A, I haven't had time to chill for the last few months. And B, like, it's there, it's in your brain. And it was never like, oh, fuck, I've got to work on the book. It was like, oh, give me that laptop. Like, quick, let's have tea so I can get back on the book.
And obviously being with you for a while, like, you can see the difference, like, when you're overworked and stressed and when you're working and you actually enjoy it. Like, with the book, you've been busy as fuck, but like, you can see in your face you're enjoying it.
Yeah, and then I would get like more pages done, or I'd get more shit done, and then I'd be like, Shaq, look at this. Like, just so excited for watching it come together. And there was honestly, like, I'm not really an emotional person, but there was a few moments where I would, you know, like, you work on each individual page, and I think it's about 146 pages, give or take.
That's wild.
Yeah. So even that is such a big project. Like, when you're working on one page at a time, you've got to be able to zoom out and be like, how is this 146 page book coming together? And, you know, if I wrote that here, what did I write 10 pages back? Is that going to contradict with that? Or do you know what I mean?
It's like, a lot.
Yeah. So you're trying to get your head around this massive project. And there's a few times where, like, the program that I wrote the book on, you can hit kind of like zoom out and you can see like a bunch of the pages on the screen at once. And I would just kind of do that zoom out thing and scroll through it. And I would get like borderline emotional because I'd be like, okay, fuck, it's coming together.
It's coming together.
Like, I can see this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so crazy when think about like a 146 page book. And even if we think about, so every meal has the list of the ingredients. It has a picture of every single ingredient. It has the emoji key and it has the macro breakdown.
Yeah.
I did that for every single meal. And I'll just preface this right now, like, no assistant has worked on this book.
Yeah.
And I've got too many assistants. I really do. I think I've got 3 or 4 assistants.
And one taste tester.
Yeah. But no assistant has worked on this book. Like, I wrote this book from start to finish. This whole entire book was me. And to do that for every single meal, and there's anywhere from like 1, 2, 3 or 4 meals per page. Like, some pages just have 1 because it's big and it's all spread out, and then others have like 4 on the 1 page or whatever. But to do that for like every meal on every page, and then you've just got to zoom out at times and be like, yep, okay, cool, that goes in that section, that goes over there, like really piece it all together. It's such a big project. Like, think about when I did the very first one, like when I opened a blank document and was like, okay, let's do the first meal. And then you're like, okay, cool, 199 to go at least.
Legit.
Like, that's massive. And so when it was getting towards the end, I would do that zoom out thing and just be like, fuck, I did this.
It's coming together.
Yeah. And it was really quite cool.
That's what I mean, like, seeing your face doing that, obviously being busy but seeing your face actually enjoying the process is so cool.
Yeah. And it was even, like, we had a few hurdles. So the book does have Afterpay, little plug for anyone who's sitting there. The book does have Afterpay, which is really cool. To get Afterpay was just a big
shit show.
Yeah, it was. There was just issues. We had issues tech issues, all of that. And even that was such a cool thing to go through. There was two really cool like lessons I learned with the book. The first one, I'm going to come back to the Afterpay thing. The first one was like, often when you do things, like think about if we run a program in Eat Like Ruby, we might sort of get the gist of it and then we promote it. Like, okay, cool, this program's coming. And then people start joining. So you're starting to get paid. And then you're like, okay, cool, people are joining. Like, we're going to keep building this. Awesome. And you're getting paid along the way. The book has only come out today. I've not been paid for this book yet.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. Like, I have been writing this book, like I said, for 12 months and you have not get paid. And this is why, like, when you think about people that actually write books for a living, this is why people get like an advance, you know, like people get, I don't know if people watch Sex and the City, but when Carrie's like, it's an advance from France, she gets the advance and she's so excited. But when you think about it, like people do get, I think in Sex and the City, she gets like 25 grand to like go off and write another book. You know what I mean? So no one gave me 25 grand to write my book.
Yeah.
We missed something there. But that was one thing where I was like, oh, this is really cool for me. And it's somewhat of a risk because you're like, I'm going to put 12 months and like we said, late nights, lots of time, all of that into this book. Sell one copy. Like you actually don't know. And that's really scary for me. Like I've built my business from nothing and like you play it quite safe quite early, and as you get bigger and you can afford to take more risks, you do. But I've never taken a risk like this. I've never been like, I'm going to put 12 months into something not knowing what is going to come out the other side of it.
This is the biggest thing you've done ever.
Yeah. So that was one little lesson, and it sort of ties in with the other one. So the other one was the Afterpay debacle, and there was just issues with that and the website and a few things, and it's all come together. It's awesome. But there was definitely days where I was like, okay, cool. Is it going to come together? Is it going to be awesome? And anytime that happened, I would sit with myself and be like, even if the website doesn't work, or even if you didn't have Afterpay, or even if no one bought it, would you still want to write this book? And I was like, yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And that to me was so cool because I think when you're in business, like we said, you can get off track or you can get into things and then they don't feel aligned or whatever. Like you go through all the fields in business. So to like be in that position where I would just always bring it back and be like, do I want to do this no matter what? Yes, I do. Like that was so cool for me to be in. And it was even that same sort of question when you think about spending 12 months on it. I was like, okay, if I spend 12 months on this and no one buys it, will I have regretted writing this book? No, I won't. And that, again, that was so cool. And I was just, that sort of made me emotional, you know, looking at the book come together and then having those conversations. I had those conversations with myself so much, especially in the last few weeks. Like, it's such a weird concept. When it's in the early phases, you have that element, like I said, of like, you've done a few pages or whatever. There's a level of overwhelm there because you're like, fuck, I've got so much to go. Yeah. But it's almost not real at that point.
Yeah, it's like, is this actually going to come together the way I want?
Yeah, like, or you're like, oh, this is not happening until June. Like, it's only Feb, whatever. Like, right now I'm just kind of piecing it together. And it was probably just those last few weeks of May where there was so few. I remember even like there's a taco bowl in the lunch section. And I was going through the book and checking everything, proofreading, whatever. And I still hadn't put the macros or something for this taco bowl, like one thing that would probably take me 60 seconds. And I just kept avoiding it. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? And I was just kind of going through the feels and I was like, it's just that weird concept of actually being done. Like I was almost cock-blocking myself from being done. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's like,
you sort of like, no, there's got to be more to this. Or yeah, like as the book got closer to being finished, I was actually getting more scattered in my brain, and like I had a phase where I couldn't see it clearly. I was like, oh no, shit, like should I rearrange the whole thing? Should I do this? Should I do that? No, I'll do the taco bowl later. It was like almost just like not
procrastinating. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, like a little, not self-sabotage, but like self-procrastination where it's like, when you do that, you are done and you are not done yet. How could you be done?
Yeah. It's like, there's no way this could be finished.
Yeah. So there's been so many feels.
How cool. That's so exciting.
I know, yeah. And even then, like, it's a weird feeling now because it is done and it's just sitting there. And it's one of those things where, like, every day I've gotten up for months being like, okay, I'll work on the book. And even, you know, like Friday nights I always work on it. Saturday mornings, like you normally go running or you go to gym or whatever. And like Nutella and I will just curl up on the couch and be like, time to work on the book, Nutella.
Yeah.
So it's even like a weird thing now where you just like wake up and I'm like,
Like surely something's got to be done there. Like surely, like It's just like that thought process. It's like,
yeah, like as if I've got nothing to do right now.
yeah, it's like, no way.
It's just such a bizarre feeling having it done. But honestly, I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked on myself. Like I really am. Just going to plug myself for a sec.
Honestly, I'm definitely proud of you for what you've done and like all the work you've put into this. I've personally seen firsthand what you've done and like, yeah, it's so good. It's definitely worth a download, I'll tell you.
Thank you, partner in crime. I just think it's really cool. I think it's a really cool, I don't even know what the word is, like embodiment. It's so aligned with Eat Like Ruby. It really is just how I eat. It is what my personal nutrition is based around. It's what my business, my brand, my company, all of that is based around. It's just, and I just think it's timeless as well. It's not something, like we do masterclasses or whatever about, Christmas or like we do things that are really like sort of relevant at the time and then they go away.
Yeah, this is just going to be long lasting.
It's just like buy it now, you've got it forever. I think that's the cool thing as well. Like, these days there's a lot of subscriptions or people are like, oh, I don't want to commit to the payments and this and that and whatever. It's just a one-off purchase. Like I love that as well because it's just like you buy it, it's yours, you've got it, you download it, you've got it on your phone, your iPad, you can print it off, you can do whatever you want with it. But like you've got it forever. Like I said, it does have Afterpay or whatever, so I know some people like to use that and split it up. I think it's got Afterpay, PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay. Don't quote me. This is where the assistants come in. But it's got a lot of things. And that was even a funny thing as well, like looking at the checkout page, and it has like the strip along the bottom with like the little Visa, the MasterCard, the Afterpay, the PayPal. Yeah. And I was on a call with my assistants on the share screen and I was like, oh, look at the little strip. I was like, that makes me look like a legitimate company. And they were like, what the fuck do you think you are?
Like, I made it.
I'm like, what have you been doing? What have we been running for 4 years? Nothing. But it's one of those things like when you have actually built your business or the book or whatever from scratch, like you do just see it as like almost like a side hustle. It's like, oh, it's that thing I work on Friday nights when we're watching footy. But it's like, no, it's not.
It's like, holy shit.
It's actually so much bigger than that.
Look at it now.
So it's just been so cool to go through all of those things and to now just have it there. Like, obviously, I know a lot of people listen to the podcast on the day it comes out, which is so cool. People have been messaging me, side note, being like, I block out time on Thursdays for your podcast.
That's good.
Which is so cool. But so obviously people will listen to this today and it's come out today and it's all exciting and the hype's there and you can buy it now. But equally, if somebody stumbles across Eat Like Ruby in 6 months' time.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there and it's still relevant.
Yeah.
That's what I think is so cool.
So cool.
Whenever you buy it, you've then got it and you've got all the resources and you are just set with over 200 simple meal ideas for life.
Like I said, the whole year. Sorted, planned out.
The whole year. I'd say we've spoken enough about the book.
Yeah, I think that's all bases covered, I think. Yeah.
Like I said, guys, the link to purchase and download the book is available on my Instagram page, my YouTube channel. It'll be in the show notes of the podcast, Facebook community. It's everywhere. You search Eat Like Ruby, you will find it. If you purchase the book and you download it and you make things, tag me, send them to me, share it, do all of the things. Like I want to see the simple meals coming to life. Obviously, like I said, I've been staring at this book on a laptop for a year now, so I want to see it come to life. I want to see people benefiting from it. So thank you guys so much for listening. I will be back next week. I won't keep on talking about my book too much, I promise, but thank you guys so much for listening and let me know once you've got it and how much you love it.
Catch ya.
Catch ya.